Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Dave Tyson on CEO and Board Cybersecurity. This is a series produced by Apollo Information Systems to help executives navigate cybersecurity problems. I'm here with Dave Tyson, President and Chief Security Officer of Apollo Information Systems and co-chair of the Cybersecurity Initiative for the Private Directors Association. Today, we are going to talk about how to cultivate security expertise among the board of directors so that they can develop strategies that actually work. Dave, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Looking forward to it.
So about today's topic, your average member of a board, not usually a cybersecurity expert, right? I mean, what should they do?
Well, I think it's really important first is just to educate them about the risks and the things that matter the most to the business. And so, I mean, it's a trite thing to say, but specifically understanding the assets that truly they're willing to invest in, to pay, to protect, is step one, because you can't defend everything at once. The second half of that is, understanding that what are the real threats to those, and what's management doing to protect them, and is that reasonable? So understanding that what's really important, what needs to be protected, and then what management's doing to understand the threats, and is that tolerance level aligned to what's best for the business, and that's the function of governance.
So the board is looking to figure out what the threats actually are. I think that boards are often looking just to buy a solution that'll fix their problem. Is that a good way to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around cybersecurity, in that it gets the reputation of being very technical, but at the end of the day, the majority of the problems that happen are people related. It's people, it's process, and yes, it's technology. And so making sure that the board understands the entire picture. How well aware are the people in the organization of what needs to be protected? How well trained are they? What are the monitoring systems? And certainly the regulatory and legislative obligations for board members are around having the correct monitoring in place of those significant risks. And so I think that that's a really important piece, is to understand that you can get a lot of threat information, and certainly there are advanced capabilities that you can get, that even the board can get briefed on directly, which will, in plain English, the things that you can understand very well. But at the end of the day, it's how well is your organization, how's the culture, and how well do they understand what it is their obligation is to protect the place.
I think the board of directors often look at problems with or solutions rather in a comparative way, and maybe they do a lot of ROI before making decisions about who to partner with, what solutions to buy. How does that apply to cybersecurity? How should boards look at that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that while benchmarking has been a core component of a lot of organizations in various business functions, in cybersecurity it has less relevance for a couple of core reasons. But the real thing is that any other organization, even if they're a direct competitor, their relative risk does not inform your organization about your risk or what you're vulnerable to, because your business, your technology, your years of investment, your business decisions, your partners, your third parties, your staff behavior, your culture, all of those things are unique. And the way we always say that is, bad guys only need to find one way in, and we have to stop every single hole as security practitioners. And so it's really important to understand that while benchmarking is interesting, it does not, in the cybersecurity world, it doesn't inform daily decision making in any way.
Yeah, I think that's good to know, because there's probably an inclination to treat cybersecurity like they would other solutions, business solutions, really. But I think one thing that might come up during this process is, that there's going to be a suite of people to choose from: organizations, security experts, professionals, internal, external. How should an executive determine who's the best fit for their cybersecurity needs?
Yeah, I mean, getting expertise is really, really critical. Boards need to have, in the early days, we called it the designated board geek, right? Which was having somebody who understands and what this looks like. The challenge is the technology moves very fast. So getting the right advisor directly into the board who actually has a, a role in that in partnership, because having the CISO show up once a quarter for 10 minutes and give the report is not going to help understand issues, whether it's mergers and acquisitions or anything else along the way, and call out some of those risks for the board to weigh in on. And so, understanding that just because I have all the respect in the world for law enforcement and military folks, but that doesn't in itself, their service, when they move into private sector, doesn't qualify them necessarily to be cybersecurity experts. Much of the role of law enforcement is to hunt down bad guys. But the idea about security is to stop it from happening in the first place and make good, solid business cases. So getting someone who's been a chief information security officer of a large firm who understands it's not just about getting your Deloitte outside auditors to come in or one of the other big four to come in and give you lots of cookie cutter advice. It's about understanding your specific environment, your risks, and what's important to you, and being able to design a business focused security strategy. And it's about the business. I mean, compliance is important, but it's not going to be it's not going to inform or prevent a breach from coming.
Yeah, this is sort of tangential to another topic. I think that boards of directors and executive C-suite, everybody sort of expects cybersecurity to fall under the IT umbrella. And I mean, who should be in charge of cybersecurity?
That's a fantastic question, and it is a source of great debate in the industry. Historically, they have reported to the CIO, and there isn't. I mean, we should call it out. There's an inherent conflict there, because how does a CISO hold the CIO accountable if they're responsible for their salary and bonuses and such? The CIO's job is to enable the organization's technology needs to drive the business forward, but that is often offset against the need to protect the organization, which is the CISO's job. So we typically see the CISO or chief security officer reporting to the general counsel, to the COO, the CEO, the head of finance, and even other organizations. In some cases, they report directly to the board. And what I always say is, that your lead cybersecurity person should be dotted line to the board in all cases, so there can be a direct conversation. And you've got to get past the 10-minute presentation once a quarter so that you can have real conversations. There is a lot of filtering that sometimes goes on for board presentations. I think boards need to be able to pull back the filter a little bit and have an honest conversation with those risk professionals.
Yeah, and it's a good point that you bring up that dotted line directly to the board, as I know that there's a lot going on with regards to who is liable for cyber risk and where does that land and who's responsible for managing it.
Well, at the Private Directors Association, we say boards should be noses in and fingers out, but that is always under pressure, because as the board liability position continues to evolve, we've seen case law continue to march on, and regulatory pressure continue to march on for boards to be more accountable to both the shareholders, whether they're publicly traded or private, in terms of their monitoring, oversight, and governance of major risks, including cybersecurity. And so it is really important to get good advice. Boards members are generally great risk managers. They make these decisions all day, but they need the data and to be able to put it in context of the business and what those real risks are before they make risk invoking decisions. Before you buy that company and in that country, you need to understand what the new risks are. And so getting cybersecurity into the M&A process and directly into the strategy of the organization, the higher up they report, the better it's going to be for the company all in all.
Yeah, and you've touched on this already, but maybe can you talk directly to the point, what is the board's role in all of this?
Well, I mean, at PDA, we say the board's role, is governance. Good governance is important for any organization. Organizations with great governance have been shown to be more profitable and grow faster. And so part of governing is governing risk. And in the risk space, while there are many different types of risks and many different buzzwords, the studies show very clearly that cybersecurity is at the top and has been at the top for a number of years in terms of executive and board member concern. And it's very, very important to get transparent risk information to the board so that they can take that and deliver that governance function effectively, because their expertise of all of these years of service and seeing many different business combinations is only leveraged to its fullest when they have the best information. I always say the job of security is to ensure that leadership and management take no risk that they are unaware of. So we've got to get the transparent information to the board, and to do that, they need to have good advisors understanding the business and with a clear path to share that information.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's actually a good place to wrap it up. I mean, that was very, very to the point. I think when dealing with what boards are dealing with, how executives should be talking with their boards, where the responsibility lies within the C-suite in the organization. So thank you very much for enlightening us today, Dave. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Mark. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in to Dave Tyson on CEO and Board Cybersecurity. Join us for the next episode, where we are going to examine how board members can understand the organization's risk profile and what to do about it. Apollo Information Systems expert senior leaders are experienced global CISOs who can help you develop your own customized program and create a competitive business advantage through great cybersecurity. Send a message to your customers that you are serious about protecting your firm and their information. Check us out at apollo-is.com. PDA provides information, education, and training on how boards and executive leadership can enhance understanding of cybersecurity governance, and much more. Check PDA out at privatedirectorsassociation.org.